For step 4, I'm going to sew the body. So I've cut out 2 pieces and I'm going to take one and put it aside for much later. And then I take one piece of the body, good side up, and I've decided to sew a belly on to my body. So I'm going to evenly place it, throw some pins in because it is a bit larger, and then bring it to my machine to sew it. I'm going to switch the metal foot to the clear and put my settings back to zigzag. Change the tension from 4 to 3, stitch type from A1 to A3, stitch width from 0 to 4, and stitch length from 2.5 to 1. Then I'm going to take my piece of tearaway interfacing, a piece a little bigger than the piece I'm going to sew, put it underneath, line up on the edge of the purple felt, and I'm going to zigzag right on the edge. Now I can use my hands to keep turning the fabric. That way I don't have to stop and pivot as much, but if it feels awkward, needle in, foot up, you can stop and pivot at any time. Now I'm using a contrasting color. I'm using pink thread on purple fabric, so therefore I have to be fairly neat. And I'll definitely go around twice so that I have a really solid layer of thread. Also remember to hold with your hands, even though it's pinned, keep it nice and flat with your hands so your fabric doesn't pucker or move. So now I've gone around twice and I reverse, lift the needle, lift the foot, cut those threads on the top and bottom. I can remove those pins. And now I'm going to put another little part. I'm going to sew a little heart right at the top. It's fairly small, so I'm not going to pin it. I'm going to start on a corner, right on the edge. I'm going to make my zigzagging width a little smaller. I'm going to go down to 3, just because my part is small. The heart is a small part. I don't want the zigzagging to overpower it, although it is the same color, so I don't have to worry as much about being neat and precise. Although it's always good to be neat and precise. Whenever it's awkward, I'm stopping and pivoting, getting around any corners, keeping it right on the edge. That's always what looks best. Back to where I started. I think I'll do it a second time. Okay, reversed. So the applique part is done. So now I cut my threads and I can pull off the tearaway interfacing. I can choose to just pull off the exterior part of it and leave the interior if I want. It does create a little more stiffness to the belly, to the applique part, or I can make a little cut and pull it all off. Either way it's fine. And now I'm ready to pin on the limbs. So I pressed the wrong side of the body after I finished the applique, just to flatten and smooth it. And now I'm ready to decide where I want the limbs to go. So I line them up where I like the look of them, and then just like we did with the ears, you put it good to good and pin it so that the 2 edges are exactly together, and then you'll bring it to your machine to sew. If you haven't overstuffed your limbs, you should find it fairly straightforward to sew them to the body. So line the foot up and have needle down, foot down, remove that first pin, go a few stitches, reverse, and just sew over that original line that you sewed to close the limb. Keep the edges together and reverse at the end. And sew each limb that way. Cut your threads so that it's tucked inside, so that later when you sew the body, it'll look like the limb is coming between the 2 of them.